About 47.6% for the 45th president. So that is a narrowing gap taking place right now in the Commonwealth. It looks as if the more urban areas were counted quicker when that was around 12%. So we're still early on, but now that gap is closing. It's looking right now, and we can't make a call quite yet, but as Virginia closes, as the Tar Heel state of North Carolina closes, as the Peach state of Georgia closes, President Trump remains steadily in the lead in all three of those states, the Sun Belt.
Well, it's great to see that. And you see there the 2024 presidential election, a map there as well. As we know that so far the states that have come in for Harris, Illinois, New York, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, and that is it as of now. So we're waiting on the big seven, the 7 swing states. I know a lot of you are watching right now, and we are hoping for the right direction for our country, the huge fork in the road that we are facing literally as we speak, as we are 10 minutes away from 10 o'clock Eastern time, 7 out there on the West Coast. This is live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You're watching Election Night in America. We have our hosts, Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler, at the watch party for President Trump in Florida. We also have Nikki Stanzione in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So, yeah, we're seeing that President Trump now has 188 electoral votes. So did a state just get called is the question. South Carolina, I'm not sure because he had 178, so he's now up to 188.
Right. And now we have other outlets that are calling North Carolina for President Trump, but we want to be careful with that, give you the real time, the correct information. We'd rather be correct than first out the gate. We've seen how that's pinched other outlets in the past just to be the first. And that's what's given birth in the last 4 years, interviewing
votes from his.
Hold on there, Papa Louie. Let's bring that down.
Votes from Alabama. In Oklahoma tonight, one of the most Republican states in the country, Donald Trump picks up another 7 electoral votes. Vice President Kamala Harris wins in the solidly Democratic state of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes. Joe Biden, of course, won there handily by 33 points 4 years ago. Vice President Kamala Harris winning the state of Maryland tonight, 10 electoral votes there. We're going to be watching that Senate race very closely. The District of Columbia tonight, 3 electoral votes. The winner, Vice President Kamala Harris. In Illinois tonight, we're watching the raw numbers coming in. Obviously too early to call. As soon as we got numbers on the board, we'll go back to that. 19 electoral votes up for grab. New Jersey, not a winner yet, 14 electoral votes. The polls have just closed in Connecticut as well. They've closed in Mississippi. They've closed in Maine. And in New Hampshire, a lot of talk about New Hampshire in these recent days. Kamala Harris had held a commanding lead in some of the polls. As it got closer to Election Day, some of those polls tightened, so there'll be some interest in New Hampshire tonight. In Rhode Island, they just closed the polls there. 4 electoral votes up for grabs. In 3 electoral votes up for grabs. They've just closed the polls there. Let's take a look at the map so far. Kamala Harris winning. Donald Trump picking up 8 states tonight. As you can see, the electoral count right there on your screen. 27 to 90 on the race to 270. We do have.
What did I just do? What did I just do? What did I just do?
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, Election Night in America, one of the most consequential elections in recent history. And just in tonight, the first exit polls are now coming in. What they tell us about the top issue for voters, even above the economy. Tonight, inside the final hours of both campaigns.
We're going to quiet you down. We will go back over here because I don't know what I'm doing. I got too many screens open and I don't know what I'm doing with the right one. I'm just going to stay with RSBN right now. And
with Tammy Baldwin leading slightly with only 32% there against
Trump is
Republican
leading,
Eric
Pennsylvania
Hovde.
is
Baldwin
pretty hard.
aggressively ran ads talking about how she would combat China along with President Trump
God, the
and
first time I turned the
endorsing
TV
his
on, it
use
was
of the
70,
tariff.
30.
And this is something that
But
I
there was
believe
only
President Trump, in a
8%
bipartisan
of the vote in
fashion,
at the time.
really changed Washington's outlook on China policy. Of course, we know Joe Biden welcomed them into the World Trade Organization as a United States Senator. He made much of his money as a side gig, taking many Air Force Two trips with Hunter, his son, over to China to meet with Xi Jinping. Again, that should be investigated perhaps, but that has not really occurred yet, other than some questioning from congressional officials. But if you look at Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, also Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat out of Virginia,
Trump was up by
two hawks
4.5
on China,
earlier
and
than
President
Wednesday.
Trump really is the man to thank for that, because he unveiled that curtain and said the Chinese Communist Party does not have our best interests at heart.
Well, we definitely know that, and we definitely don't want a radical leftist, aka Harris and Walz, running this country. We need that common sense leadership. We know that happens through President Trump. We also see on the bottom left of your screen right now, President Trump 188, Harris 99. That is the latest count as we work in conjunction with the Associated Press. Now, when I say that, I don't mean editorially. I don't mean with any scripts or any kind of political ideology. Simply put, the data, the numbers, and the precincts and the polls and all of that. So
Can you still hear
we're
them?
tracking the numbers as we get the data from the AP. And hopefully we can see another graphic as well of the country a little
What
bit
the hell is
when it comes to maybe even the swing states, the electoral vote, the popular vote, or also the just the country when it comes to the electoral vote, as we saw right there. Thank you guys for the 2024 presidential election. You
I've
see
got
a
my
good
volume all the way up.
swath, as they say, of red right there. It looks
Right.
beautiful, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, it's 4 years of. I think a lot of people waited for this moment. I know.
Do you
I
hear
did.
them, and
know,
can
it's
you hear
people
me?
Who have faced career decisions or
Without headphones, I
terminated for
can't
one
tell
reason or
what's-
another regarding mandates.
what's
So think
happening.
about those who have lost their lives to illegal immigrant violence. I think of Rachel Moore and that beautiful mother of 5, and Laken Riley. I mean, she was someone who should not have been taken from us in February. And for us in Georgia, it's just a terrible, it's really affected every community.
Exactly. So that southern border needs to be closed. There's a litany of issues that are out there in the country, and as we know, and we've been talking about it, the country's broken, and we do
This
believe
is
that
not the
President
map
Trump
that
can
I
fix it.
had.
Not only, see, it's not just President Trump, right?
Right.
When you hire a
Not the
president,
map that I
you
had
hire the
figured out
cabinet,
earlier
you hire
today.
so many workers around
Okay, you
him
can hear me
too,
now?
and he's going to be picking
You can
so
still
many
hear
great
them
people in
too?
his cabinet. So it's a team of people that really have America first in mind.
And Senator J.D. Vance, God willing, our future vice
I'm gonna have to
president.
start wearing earbuds
He is
when
actually
I do this
dear friends
restream
with
because
my state
no matter
senator,
what
who
I
is on the
have,
complete opposite end of the spectrum, and they
the
went to
volume
Hill
set at
together
it's going to be
study
loud to me,
law,
but my television
and
is
apparently they
coming
are
off the
still in
TV.
communication. They still talk, and Senator J.D. Vance saying simply a disagreement on policy should not
Wanna check
remove
one
you
other.
from a friendship or a relationship. And I think about the great Thomas Jefferson. and John
MSNBC and
Adams. I'm
ABC
wearing
keep going to
Thomas
commercial all the
Jefferson
time.
socks
I want it
today
to stay
to
straight.
match my Declaration of Independence tie. So that
Want
example
it
we
to
should
stay
use and look
live.
towards as we
to listen to all the other
friendships.
junk.
Yeah, exactly. And we love Thomas Jefferson, we love Abraham Lincoln, we love President Trump, and others that have done great things for our country out there. As we are waiting to see who will be the 47th president of the United States.
Charlie
Guys,
Kirk is
are we
one.
ready? Let's go to Nikki Stanzione in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. She's at an event there right now. Nikki, tell us what you're seeing out there.
Hi guys, oh my goodness, this is electric energy tonight. So
I think I'm
literally
gonna
about 2
invest
minutes before
in
you
a
came to
different
me,
microphone.
for
I
the first
can't
time
find my
tonight,
Yeti. I
somebody decided to
packed
get
it.
up
I
and
can't
speak
find where the heck
right
I
behind
put
me.
it.
But otherwise, it's been fairly calm. We've been watching the
Go to
results as they've been
news.
coming in. I will tell you, I would say about an hour ago, there was a bit of a nervousness when we started to see some of
Check
the
the live
numbers in
channel.
Pennsylvania. But over the last 5 minutes, we have seen the gap starting to close, as you guys have been
want
talking
these
about. We're
rinky-dink
looking now at
stations,
about
they keep going to
47 to 51%.
Associated Press, they
So we
keep
were looking at a
jumping back
much
and forth.
bigger margin before of a lead from Kamala, and now our President Trump is starting to inch up, and we are seeing some changes as these
ABC.
numbers roll in from county to county, and it's exciting, you guys. It is really it is
Wait a
really
minute.
special to be in a place that
Let's
literally
just watch the
could
results
change
for
the
here.
fate of our country.
It's so good because you're in Bucks County. So what was it like earlier today?
I'm gonna flip
With the
over
amount
to
of
another
people up
channel.
there, did you feel like a lot of them were? Did you feel like you were at a rally in a way? Like the amount of people that were supporting President Trump in line there?
Yes.
I'm gonna flip to a new channel. You go to the results board on ABC and see what's going on there. Can't believe the Republicans have only gained one seat in the Senate. $191. They're not showing which states are leading this way. I also can't believe that Trump is leading the opposite. I have such a small screen down there. Oh! Nice up there. Where should I be, Bert? And all these guys, they're all supposedly up the top. Those are the numbers coming in right now, the letters a while ago. I think. Telling me all the network channels are giving the Associated Press information instead of their own. Doesn't seem like it should be happening. I know Fox doesn't use the Associated Press. I don't want to go to Fox. Holy shit, they're just now telling me he won Florida? I knew that over an hour ago. Boy, somebody, you heard theirs. This is ABC, but right now announces that Trump has won Florida. I knew that at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Yeah, I knew Trump was going to live. I want live. Hey. I probably I'm screwing everything up here, people.
We're here in Ford Field tonight to really emphasize how important these partnerships were, from faith leaders to sports leaders to business leaders to law enforcement and our Attorney General, all of whom share with us a belief that our democracy is at its strongest when every voice is heard and when every vote is counted. Finally, I want to thank the millions of voters who participated in our democracy this election. Just like our Lions, you have made winners.
I brought that way down. Hopefully it's a lot lower now.
I'm happy to take any questions. Go ahead.
Michigan?
Darylyn Horn with WWJ. Were there any instances of any issues or any misinformation spread today? And if so, how was that addressed?
Yeah, one of the candidates, the former president, said there was a strong law enforcement present in Philadelphia and Detroit. That was not true. We quickly debunked it. To the extent that other people were upset, it was usually just because they couldn't get one of these stickers. We saw some of them sold on eBay, which I don't recommend. But at the same time, we also made these stickers available at our Secretary of State branch office.
I have no idea what happened. I have no idea. I've got 3 streams going all at the same time, all through Restream. It replicated itself. I don't know if I'm here. Am I here? Am I even here? Am I here right now? Why is the screen so small? Okay. Am I here? Am I back? Did I come back? Am I here? Oh, shit. Well, let me go see if I'm here. Now I'm here. There I am. Is that me? Well, I won't do this very long if that happens again. I don't know why it happened. Said something about I didn't have enough memory to open a page. What are you talking about? There's 64 gigs in here. And let me look. Let me go over here. Restream is using 1.6% of the CPU and 384 megs of memory. Come on. Oh, dear God. Where's the chat? Down here. How do you know I'm here, Nancy? How do you know? How do you know? I'm trying to find something that's up to date. Not recent live streams. I want live now. ABC, Internet Today, Cozy Coffee Shop. What the hell is that? Let's go with the news. Live Now News. NBC, ABC, Live Now with Fox, Election Day live coverage. Watch everything. Now, if this doesn't work, I'm just. Oh my God, they're in a commercial break. What the hell is happening here?
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We have more of these candidates taking the stage at
His
their
name was
respective
Andrew
election night
Kraft.
watch parties and rallies. Want to focus our efforts right now on the Texas Senate race there. The Associated Press has not called this race yet. Other outlets have, though, for Ted Cruz. You
I
see there,
first tuned into
67%
this and
of
Ted
estimated
Cruz
votes
is down
counted.
by
You see the
6
wide
points.
margin
I
in
thought,
the
wow,
differential
is
between
already going to
Cruz and
take
Allred.
it away?
Cruz just stepped up at his election night watch party. Let's listen live.
And I believe and I hope and pray that Donald Trump will be reelected as President of the United States.
Yeah, and then the riots began, but nobody rioted when Biden won.
I want to say thank you, number one, to my extraordinary wife, Heidi, my best friend in the world.
I
Such an
oh,
amazing partner on this
I
magic carpet ride of life. And I want to say thank you to our two beautiful and amazing girls, Caroline and Catherine.
I get the
You know,
side street off.
politics at times exacts a price on the family. And I want to say I am so grateful for their love and support, and you guys are amazing. Thank you. I also want to give a special shout out to Alexis Nungri. Alexis, thank you for your incredible courage
Hungry?
speaking out for your precious Jocelyn. And your courage has made such a profound difference in this nation. We're going to. I also want to thank all the Democrats across Texas who crossed over and supported my campaign.
You really think so, Bert? That would be
Including
amazing.
especially Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg.
We can't go on the way we are today, or there won't be anything for us to have. I made a comment online earlier today, so
Who has stood strong for
if we were to
prosecuting
win, we'd be
violent
digging our
criminals.
next meal out of a dumpster.
And I want to thank every Texan across our great state who has stood with us in this fight, who worked and who fought for Texas. I want to congratulate Colin Allred on a hard-fought campaign.
You may have.
And I want to say to all of those who
Biden's probably going to be the happiest one of
you
Trump,
have my
really.
word that I will
The way they
fight
threw him
for
out of
you,
office.
for your jobs, for your safety, and for your constitutional rights. But tonight, the people of Texas have spoken.
Okay, Ted, get out of here. Let's hear some more
And
results.
their message rings clear as a bell across our great state. Texas will remain Texas.
Yeah, Trump will definitely take the rural areas of Michigan.
You know, the media were ready to write off Texas.
Don't do it again. Don't tell me you don't have any memories.
And Chuck Schumer poured in more than $100 million to our state. Well, I want to say thank you, Chuck. And I hope we win a few more Senate seats tonight because you wasted so much money in Texas. They deployed every trick, every lie, and every Hollywood celebrity they could find. Chuck Schumer tried to buy this Senate seat like it was a piece of Manhattan real estate. But he learned what we've always known, that Texas isn't for sale. And Texans can't be bought.
Every channel I go to has got Ted Cruz
Over the last 2 years,
party on
I've
right now.
traveled every corner of this state, from the Panhandle to the Valley, from deep
I'm going to switch
East
the
Texas
channels on
to
you
far
again because
in
I
West
see
Texas.
something here that's
We
interesting.
have traveled.
Come on. God. What the fuck is happening here? I give up. I'm done with this crap. It's one channel I wanted to put on. I don't know why Restream. I don't know why these damn things are having so much trouble, but they are. They did it the other night, and I had to go back to StreamYard because Restream wouldn't work. Remember the last time I went live, I had to switch over to Restream. No idea what's going on. I want to see if I can find the channel with both camps on right now. I think I'm still here with you. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Yeah, the chat's there. Let's try this again. Oh, God. How satisfied are you with this? Get out of here, how satisfied I am. I'll tell you in a minute how satisfied I am. Last thing I'm trying. And then I'll quit.
Challenger there as well. So wanted to make sure we got some of those race calls in moving forward. In the meantime here, we do have some tweets. Want to put this up. This is from Texas
Yeah,
Governor.
both camps, they have
Greg
the
Abbott.
Harris
Let's go
Watch
back to
Party, the
Texas. You
Trump
see
Watch Party.
there.
I see a
He
lot of
says,
silent
congratulations,
faces at the
Senator
Trump Party.
Ted Cruz, on your big win. Senator Cruz will continue to
many
defend
Harris
Texas values
all walking around
of freedom,
field,
liberty,
like
and
they don't know what
prosperity
happened.
in the U.S. Senate. Working together, we'll keep Texas. Texas, you heard that.
Yeah, but he
Common refrain there from Ted Cruz.
usually
at his
the
party.
winner of the popular vote. Usually it's usually the other
All
way
right, in the
around.
meantime here, we do want to
Popular
bring into the
doesn't win
conversation
the electoral
my
and
friend
vice
and
versa.
colleague, Austin Westfall, in the Live Now newsroom, who we've been relying so heavily on for what to make of these race calls. He joins me also with some viewer engagement. We want to hear from the viewers tonight. Take a look at the lower left portion of your screen. About 800,000 of them are watching alongside us. But first, Austin.
We've been checking in with Christina throughout the evening as she's been traversing social media and seeing what's going on there. Let's ask you all who's watching. Let's ask you what's going on and what you're thinking about. We're asking you, and by the way, we'll say QR code right there on your screen. Andrew, if we can take that in full so that the people can point their smartphone camera at that QR code, it'll send you to a web page where you can vote on this poll. We've already had a couple of results come in. That's because some of you are looking at our website and you're voting on this before we even brought it to air. Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania. Those are the 7 key battlegrounds we've been following. The question is, which battleground state do you think will have the most impact on the presidential race? Right now, it appears with 51% of the vote, Pennsylvania is looking like it's taking the cake. But again, we've only gotten a few dozen, I believe, answers to this poll so far. So if you want, you can either scan that QR code on your screen, or if we take it off the screen, before you're able to do that, you can simply type in livenowfox.com/ livenowfox.com/connect. livenowfox.com.
What state do you think will have the most riots?
Which
vote
battleground state you
Oregon.
think will have the most impact on the presidential race? We've been talking about this ad nauseum, Andrew. Pennsylvania is going to be the common denominator for both Harris and Trump's easiest path to the White House. Pennsylvania so far.
Now bring me
winning
up
in
for
our
a
poll.
second.
Okay,
Yeah,
so as you
good.
mentioned,
Yeah,
let's
come
bring
on.
up the map. This is what we're working with right now. We've got Harris with 112. We have Trump with 198. Trump is 72 electoral votes away from the magic number. We have had so many race calls.
Yeah, but it
in the
looks like
last
this in
few minutes here.
2022 that
we're
everybody
seeing a
went to
lot of
bed,
this
woke
dark
up
red
for a
being
loser.
shaded in. Most of these not necessarily a surprise. I want to focus on the battleground states, though. Let's start with Wisconsin, and let's zoom in.
That was Arizona
48%
leaning
of the votes
blue.
in Wisconsin have been tallied, and so far, this is a tight one. Trump right now, 1 point above Harris, 49.8% versus 48.8%. That's with nearly half of those votes being tallied so far. Looks like Michigan is leaning blue right now. Only 21% of the votes called so far. Less than a quarter of the results have been tallied in Michigan. Of course, so much attention is going to be on the Detroit Metro. How are those votes going to fall? That's also, I believe, the largest hub of Arab Americans that are going to be voting as well. It'll be interesting to see how they react to some of the news and how the Biden administration has handled the Israel-Hamas war. Moving on to more battlegrounds. Pennsylvania, this is the one that our viewers say is the most important. Just over half of the votes have been tallied so far. 55% has been counted in Pennsylvania. And Trump right now has just under a 3-point lead.
All right, Austin.
in this.
Don't mean to cut you off here. We do have more of these now winning candidates stepping up to their election rallies and watch parties, including Maryland's Senator-elect Angela Alsobrooks there. Let's watch.
What's going on?
Doesn't it feel good to be in Maryland tonight? Oh, yes. Well, first of all, to Alex, you know, she forgot to tell you one important part of that story. She's the one who got on the bus after I had to race after her first grade friends and said, well, we have to wait for a certain 40-year-old to come across the park. Well, I have to say, first of all, tonight, I must give credit to the absolutely unfailing
Why
God
didn't
that
they
I
take that
serve.
check mark away from Trump in Pennsylvania? It was there a second.
One whose grace has been sufficient at every turn. I don't have enough words to say thank you to God, whose faith has been unfailing. I want to thank him so much. And just a moment ago, I received a call from Governor Hogan congratulating me on tonight's victory. Offering his congratulations and the congratulations of Yumi. And I know that we both share a very deep love for Maryland and commitment to Maryland, so I certainly want to thank him so much for his service. Now, I start off with something that is so obvious, and it's that it couldn't be overstated, but tonight absolutely could not have been possible without you, without every single person in this room and the people of Maryland. So to the people of Maryland, thank you so very much. Thank you to Marylanders. Thank you. Now, if I named every person who shares this victory with us tonight, we'd be here for a few hours. But I can't leave the stage without thanking some very special people who made tonight possible. First and foremost, to the single most incredible, the baddest campaign team, let me tell you, ever to have graced the earth. This team is incredible, and they are led by the incomparable Sheila O'Connell, our campaign manager. Thank you so much to Sheila, who is what I love to call a super bad woman. Sheila led this, she flew this plane, no matter what the winds were, against over $100 million that was spent against our campaign. And we're here tonight for every single person on this team who gave everything they had. They left it all on the field. This was the single most talented team. I've seen every single one of them. I want to thank them so much for their commitment. I want to thank them for sharing their talents with me, and I can't wait to continue working and making your efforts worthwhile.
Go home and have some breakfast.
I'd also like to thank some of our partners, Emily's List. I want to say thank you so much to Emily's List and the super incredible Jessica Mackler, Higher Heights, and Glenda Carr. There's a network across the country electing women. I want to thank them so much. And also want to thank all of our partners in labor who are here tonight, many of whom are here tonight. All of our faith leaders and faith community, want to thank them so much. To the super bad Divine Nine, my brothers and sisters of the Divine Nine. Yes, the coalition. Yeah, yes. Yes. I'd also like to say thank you so much to the Democratic Party led by Ken Ullman and also Dr. Charlene Dukes. I want to thank them so much for all their incredible support. All of my friends in elective office, don't we have the baddest captain of Team Maryland,
Hey,
Governor
Bert, did I ever
Westmore?
tell you I was
Thank him
raised
so
in a
much.
middle-class family?
All of our friends and our federal delegation who are here tonight. You just heard from Senators Cardin and Van Hollen. I want to thank them. All of our the congressmen who are here. I see Congressman Hoyer. I want to thank him so very much. Congressman Mfume, sir, thank you so much. Congressman Sarbanes, and Congressman Raskin. Yes, Congressman Raskin. Yes. America's Congressman, Congressman Ivey, want to thank them, Rupersberger, thank them so much for all of their support, as well as all of my other brothers and sisters in elective service who are here tonight, from the state Senate, our delegation, our council members, all the Democratic Central Committee members who worked so hard on this campaign, to all of our volunteers.
But you just thank everybody in the audience one at a time, and we can all go to bed.
Thank you not just for believing in this movement, but I thank you for working so hard to take the movement to the people. So for every single volunteer who opened your home, who met us in coffee houses, met us in backyards, for all the donors who contributed, I want to just say thank you so much for every phone call and every door knock. Thank you so very much. And to the people, thank you, that's Wanda Durant, you guys. To the people of Maryland, especially the folks who came out. Now, you all know we started a little later tonight. And you know why that was? It was because our college students and first-time voters, so many of them showed up at the polls tonight. They had to keep the polls open later because our children came out to vote tonight. And so I want to just say thank you to them. And also want to just give a special shout out to my hometown, Prince George's County, Maryland. Prince George's County, Maryland.
Yes, please.
A place
Go,
where
go,
I have
go,
grown
go,
up,
go.
the ones who I love so much.
Segue.
You know, I woke up this morning to my neighbors.
All right, you're hearing there from Angela Alsobrooks declaring victory after her race call against former Maryland Governor, Republican Larry Hogan there.
How come all the people at the Harris Watch Party don't have hats on that say joy?
Ben Cardin here. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us. We're a little past the bottom of the hour now here, a little after 8:30 Mountain Time, a little after 10:30 on the East Coast there. Thanks so much for being with us. We are in for it tonight. Remember, we're not stopping. We are going live, raw, and unfiltered throughout the course of the evening, bringing you these results in real time, coming to us from the Associated Press here. And in the meantime, we do have some of these race calls I want to bring you. Let's go to the District of Columbia right now. You see there Harris getting their 3 electoral votes. This race was called, about 10 minutes ago here. Also, we have some results coming in. Some of these western battleground states, including Arizona. Take a look at that. Arizona has 11 electoral votes. As you know, it's a battleground, very close here, but a little under half of estimated votes counted there. So neck and neck there in Arizona between Trump and Harris. Let's go to Missouri briefly. Remember, Hawley was facing a Democratic challenger in Lucas Kunce there, and he
Kuntz?
won this race.
Lucas Kuntz?
Holly,
I would change
52
my name in a
over
quick
Lucas Kuntz
hurry
there,
if my name was
46.
Lucas Kuntz.
45% of estimated votes counted. Holly goes back to the Senate with another 6-year term.
I'm sorry.
In the meantime here, we do want to bring into the conversation my colleague Austin Westfall in the Live Now
Holy
newsroom
cow.
and New York Post's
I wonder if
E.G.
it-
Gankarski. He joins us
Hey,
as well.
is there
So,
a guy named
Austin,
Harry
Austin, we
Kuntz?
were trying to get through where the battleground states lie right now as far as the presidential contest is concerned. What do they?
Let's go through them. So let's start up in Wisconsin. Let's just go with what the AP is calling for now. 53% of the vote so far tallied, according to the Associated Press. That's a tight race. 49.5% to 49%. Trump up by 1/2 of a percentage point in Wisconsin. Moving over to Michigan, which is currently
The recount state.
and it's light blue, but if you really look at the results, that's a dead tie, 49.1 to 49.1. It looks like we just lost that. Let's move on to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, considered the most pivotal battleground state, 19 electoral votes up for grabs in the Keystone State. Right now, Trump has a roughly over 100,000 vote lead over Kamala Harris right
awful
now. So
tight,
we're looking
but let's
at
get out to the
Trump having
outskirts.
just under 3 points of a lead versus Harris right now. That's the most important battleground. Going down to North Carolina, we're getting in a little more results there. 83% of the votes have been tallied in the Tar Heel state. And
Oh,
right
boy.
now, Trump has just over a 2.5% lead. Going further south to Georgia, 88%. So we've been speaking all night about preliminary results, Andrew. We can toss that out now when we're talking about states like this. Georgia has 88% of the votes tallied. Trump with 51.3%, Harris with 48.1%. I'm going to zoom out again because we've been saying all night, Trump's easiest path to victory, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Still a lot of votes to be counted in Pennsylvania, but for now, we're seeing that Trump has a slight margin, especially in Georgia here. We're starting to see some of these counties really fill in. Not surprisingly,
Oh, I'm sorry.
seeing this
I
kind of
didn't
blue
realize my
blob
cat wasn't
in the
moving.
Atlanta metro. But then we see all of these bright red and dark red rural counties that are pretty much balancing out, if not overcoming, some of what we're
at those
seeing
rural
in
counties.
some of these
Look at
larger
them.
cities, specifically the Atlanta metro. Let's zoom back out just to make sure that we hit every battleground state that we can. Arizona's the other one. 50% of the votes in here. So half of the vote tallied. Most of this coming from Maricopa County. Maricopa County is most of the ball game in the Grand Canyon State. Right now, we've got a dead tie, 49.6 to 49.6. Interesting, to say the least, Andrew, as this map gets filled out. Let's ask AG about it.
So, AG, thanks so much for being with us. AG with the New York Post, of course. What can we glean from some of these battleground states here? Is it accurate to say that some are too close to call? Not Georgia, is it?
You know, I think Georgia is trending toward Trump, but the thing I'm noticing is that blue wall is looking like it's going to crack. I mean, you know, what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, it's going to come down to late returns from these like bigger cities. But, you know, really it's looking more like 2016 than 2020. And, you know, that's kind of remarkable for people who thought that Harris, you know, had a pathway that, you know, was more like Biden's in 2020. It's looking much more like Trump's got the 2016 coalition. You know, men are coming out to vote for him, and you know, this is really a remarkable political comeback in the making by Donald Trump, because I think a lot of people looked at this a few weeks back and said there was no way he can make inroads in the blue wall. And there was a lot of thought to say Jill Stein would be a bigger factor in a place like Michigan. She hasn't been as of yet. So this is just Trump versus Harris.
Where
like,
the hell should I
you know,
be
R
right
versus
now,
D,
Bert? What the
but,
hell channel should
yeah,
I be
Trump's
at last
really,
year? Last
you know,
year.
he's really driving it right now.
Last election.
So, AG, I've got
We're getting the results
Pennsylvania
as they happen.
right now. 51% of the vote so far is going for Trump. He has roughly a 3-point lead over Harris. 57% of the vote has been counted. Let's talk about what is considered the most pivotal battleground state here. There is still 43% of the vote to be tallied. What are we going to be watching for as we get that 43% of the vote in?
Philadelphia County, because that is predominantly Democratic. I think in 2020 was more than 80% for Joe Biden. And you expect similar margins with Kamala Harris, but the question is always turnout. Like, how many people actually turn out to vote? How many votes are counted in, the coming days? It's not just what we see tonight, but we'll see what we see in the next couple of days as well. So, a Trump lead, say 3 o'clock in the morning isn't necessarily safe in Pennsylvania because of Philadelphia County primarily. The rest of the state, Trump's got an advantage in it, but
there's nobody.
That's machine politics.
No place even.
It works a little bit more slowly. It works a little more gradually.
Coverage.
And it looks a bit rougher from the outside, where people are saying, "Why haven't these votes been counted already?" You've got late votes. You've got precincts that take a while to count for whatever reason. You've got anomalies that happen in the counting process. All kinds of things. So people will be watching that one over the next couple of days for sure.
Yeah, because Fox did
Okay, so AG, we have a live picture
a little bit ago.
at the Harris Walls watch party. You said there are
Does our
indications of 2016 vibes, so to speak, when
stats, or do they
Hillary
have their
Clinton
own?
lost. Do you see any of that on the faces of some of these Harris Walls supporters here? Because I want to ask you this. The question going into the night was whether or not we would know a winner in the presidential contest tonight. Do you think we will, or will it take till tomorrow morning?
I think it's going to take a day or two before we have something where we can say somebody's going to be the winner. I just don't think that we're going to have enough of the count in tonight, especially in those blue wall states, to really figure it out. I think Arizona may take a little bit of time too. It looks a little close from what I'm seeing also. So, between those states, you've got, 55 electoral votes between the four? That's a lot of suspense. So, expecting a winner before you go to bed tonight, I think it's a little bit unrealistic.
These guys are boring.
The trend right now is Donald Trump. It's looking good for him. But, you have to consider that the late votes, that the late counted vote, the mail vote, things like that is going to trend Democratic. And, so any margin that Trump has at, 10:41 Eastern time may not hold, when we wake up in the morning.
Let's talk about
on where you are.
We talk about Michigan. We talk so much
about
some of these southern states, and we've been talking about Pennsylvania. Let's talk about Michigan. And I'm going to just kind of zoom in on Detroit here, because that's one of the largest Arab American populations in the country. When we focus in and we go in on what is,
how many electorals
do you have
on your map?
We're focusing in on
I've got 210
the area where
here.
Detroit is. So Wayne County is what we're talking about here, AG. So right now, Wayne County is showing that Trump is up 61% to 37.5%. We're talking about Trump having a commanding victory so far with 24% of the votes in. 24% may not sound like a lot, but what do you make of what we're seeing out of this county so far?
It really comes down to the precincts that are coming in, because, a county in and of itself isn't necessarily the thing. There are precincts in the counties that will tell you what the real story is that's happening. And, when you're watching that precinct data being dumped in, that can move these totals. And we've got these margins as thin as they are in Michigan. You get 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 votes dumped in. And if they're D plus 80, that makes a remarkable difference in the narrative.
So we do have some race calls we do want to get to right now here on the presidential level. Let's go to Kansas right now, AG in Austin. So you see there Trump getting Kansas's 6 electoral votes, the Associated Press calling Kansas for former President Donald Trump here. Let's stay in the Midwest. We also have a race call there in the Hawkeye state of Iowa. Iowa's 6 electoral votes going to Donald Trump there over Harris with 56% of
last
estimated
night
votes.
we talked about she would.
This is really interesting because
Iowa.
we got to dive into some of the numbers there in Iowa, because there was this poll that was put out over the weekend by Ann Seltzer. She's considered the gold standard there of polling mavens in Iowa, AG and Austin. She had Harris winning Iowa by 3 in her poll. She even considered her poll an outlier here, AG, but obviously we're not seeing that here. Trump getting the state, and it's a pretty sizable margin so far, more than half of votes counted.
Yeah, I mean, the Trump campaign said that, they tell people to look at the Emerson poll, which is more of a 10-point poll. The Selzer poll, the methodology seemed really weird to me. And, this idea that there's this groundswell of women in this very conservative state that elected Kim Reynolds governor and all of that was moving over to Harris. It didn't make a lot of sense. But, when you look at polls, we know this. It's like it comes down to your sample size. It comes down to your random pick. So you got 600, 800,000 people. Not all those people are created equal. So it looks like a real sampling error from Selzer, back to the drawing board moment. But, every presidential race has really wild polls. And this just happened to be one of them. And it raised questions about Iowa, but I don't think those questions were legitimate. Obviously, voters did what we expected them to do before this election, leaving aside that Selzer poll.
Yeah. So, AG, as I zoom in on the map here, we're starting to see that almost every single battleground, in fact, every single battleground that has results, save for Nevada, which we do not have results in for yet, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona. None of them have been called in Trump's favor yet. All of them so far are, they're light red. They are leaning red right now as Trump is ahead in these races. What does that mean? We saw so many discussions out there saying that this race would be as close as it possibly could be. Is this something that's fascinating you as we're seeing this night progress? I mean, Georgia, North Carolina, we have over 80% of the vote tallied. Over 60% of the vote has been tallied in Pennsylvania. Michigan has just about a quarter of the votes tallied, and over 50% of the votes tallied in Wisconsin, as well as half of the votes tallied in Arizona. Out of those 6 battlegrounds, AG, what's standing out to you?
I mean, to me, it really is the trend. And you have to ask yourself right now, who would rather be, Trump or Harris? And, Trump, basically, his strategy of going all over the place, campaigning everywhere, taking all kinds of questions, even from adversarial media, it seems to have paid off. And, I think voters are responding to the authenticity, to the viscerality of the Trump campaign, to the approach. And to the central question, are you better off 4 years ago?
God damn it, I wish
Trump
I was where you
waved
are.
that question in over and over again in his closing arguments. And, many of these voters in these states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and so on, they looked at their pocketbooks or bank balances or credit cards, and they said, no, we're not better. And, I think Harris not doing press conferences, on kind of doing these parachuting in, doing these scripted rallies.
You can't talk.
I don't think that helped her. I think voters really wanted a connection, especially after the 2020 pandemic election where, Joe Biden basically campaigned from his basement. Harris did a version of that. And the voters seem to be rewarding Donald Trump here.
So, AG, let's just transition briefly here to some of these Senate contests and some of these Western battlegrounds as well here. We're getting results in on the Arizona Senate race. Let's take this. Ruben Gallego up over Lake 53-46 right now with 49% of estimated votes counted. If we can also bring up the Montana Senate race too between Sheehy and Tester, just so we can get a good lowdown of where that race stands at the moment. Let's take that.
45
there you see Sheehy up 56 over Tester's 42 there, with about 5% of estimated votes counted. So Montana still has a long way to go there. But these are the Senate races to watch still now that we are moving our way westward across the country, though some of the other races, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Ohio, those Senate seats, they're still in the mix. They haven't been called yet, at least by the Associated Press, AG.
Yeah, and Republicans need to flip a couple of these, and even if you go back to 2022, they're saying that 24 would be their year for the Senate. And they've got a lot of opportunities. And I think as Trump rises or falls, so too does the Senate candidates. If you look at the state polling that came out in the various swing states where you had Senate races, the cans to run a couple points behind Trump. So if Trump can win these states by 2 or 3 points, that's very good for a Dave McCormick or Eric Hovde or somebody like that. I think if you look at Montana, I think, Trump's strength is going to lift Sheehy in that race. I don't think Kerry Lake has a shot per se. The polls I saw of Arizona had a lost split ticket between Trump and Gallego. But, overall, if Republicans can pick off a couple of these Democratic seats, then it's a very good night because they probably will take the House also. So you can see a unified Republican Washington, D.C. next year, and Donald Trump would be able to enact a lot of this policy agenda that he was thwarted, from doing.
Yeah, on CBS right now, they got Trump at 207
so, AG, if we can come back onto my screen here, I want to just show the Senate map, the balance of power is behind me here. And this is giving us a look at how this thing is shaping out. So right now, and obviously you need 50 seats in order to have control of the Senate if the president is Donald Trump, because that would mean that J.D. Vance would be the tiebreaker. That would give Republicans control. That would mean they would only need 50. Now, if they want control regardless of who wins the presidency, they would need 51. Let's tease this out, AG. There are quite a few competitive Senate races around the country: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. As you mentioned, it's not as competitive in Arizona as it once was. Montana, we are seeing John Tester has a steep uphill battle. Is there really any path to the Democrats maintaining control in the upper chamber at this point?
Not with the way this map is going. It's going to be very difficult, and I think you would need for the Senate candidates to really outperform Harris in state after state. My guess right now is 52, 53 Republican seats, and that's really what you want if you're the Republicans, because it's very hard to maintain a unified caucus in the House or the Senate. So you want that margin to be a couple points higher than just a 50-50 split with Vance casting a bunch of tie-breaking votes. It's really early to tell with these Senate races, but I'm less confident in those than I am in Trump right now. But I really do think Trump is the rising tide that will lift some of these Senate candidates up.
So in the meantime, AG Gankarski with the New York Post, we're going to have to leave it at that. We do appreciate it. We are nearing the top of the hour. Also, Westfall here in the Live Now newsroom with me. But in the meantime, though, speaking of some of these Senate races, I want to put up some of the results. Let's go back to Virginia right now. Take a look at this. Democratic incumbent Tim Kaine there leading over his Republican challenger, Hung Kao. You see there. We also have Tim Kaine speaking live right now to his rally group of supporters. Let's listen.
I can't think of his name.
Embody, and by the progress that you've demonstrated. So it's going to be a long night.
Man.
We're going to have, however all these results go outside Virginia, we're going to have a lot of work to do. We're going to have a lot of work to do to promote more peace in the world. We're going to have a lot of work to do to create this economy that is not just for a few, but for the many, and expand healthcare options and protect reproductive freedom and fight gun violence and battle for a cleaner environment.
I open another
there's so much work
YouTube channel.
But we've shown in Virginia that if we link arms, we can walk side by side. We can andar con la gente. We can walk side by side with people and make progress. So thank you so much for putting your faith in me. And you may or may not, over the course of the next 6 years, agree or disagree with this or that.
What was his name?
But I won't embarrass you. I won't let you down. I won't cause you to lose a moment of sleep. And we will keep moving Virginia and this country.
Yeah, I agree.
And this country forward.
I agree.
Thank you so much.
New York City can go on their own.
And then watch TV very late, and we're going to go win, right? We're going to go win.
Where is he?
All right, you're just listening in there to Tim Kaine, wrapping up some of the speaking to reporters. You can see there the 52-48 margin right now, not officially called by the AP, but a happy crowd on.
Almost seems like there might be even a little bit
of Virginia.
more behind than 30 minutes. For
change of anchor. I'm Andy Mack now.
I'm looking at some of these other live channels out here, and they're still at
great election night for him, covering all the latest. All right, let's continue on. Let's slide away for a quick 2-minute break. We have more polls closing here at the top of the hour as it gets closer to 8 o'clock Pacific time.
There's so many live channels, and they're so far behind. .207. Here's 207 here, and that is oh, never mind. That's CNN. No, it's CNBC channel 18. Shit, they're a week behind everything. $194. What the hell? What is that? I was gonna jump over to what's Michigan and oh yeah. Another one, 207. Lord. That's live. Who are they? KSDK News. Says live. They got Trump at 111. What the? Get out of here.
Welcome back in here to Alive Now from Fox here on this election night. Thank you so much for joining us. Some 900,000 people tuning in across all of our streaming platforms. So we appreciate you joining us as we're approaching the top of the hour. 8 o'clock on the West Coast is nearing very closely.
Here we go again.
I do want to go to some of these live outlooks, including at Howard University, the Kamala Harris Watch Party getting going.
Up to date election. Oh yeah, you're up to date, all right. Maybe the same day,
also
the same
West Palm Beach, Florida, a live look there with all the American flags. Plenty of people excited for this as we're soon to have polls close in California, Oregon, and Washington. And let's continue on. Let's bring in again my colleague here, Austin Westfall, to discuss the latest of what we're seeing from this on the West Coast. Austin, thank you so much for joining us. So what are we looking at now, and what do we expect here as polls close in just a matter of minutes on the West Coast?
Good to be with you, Andy Mack, and props to our colleague Andrew Kraft for a 5-hour-long marathon manning the controls there. Let's get into the maps. So here's what we're talking about. We're going to be watching some of these West Coast states.
When did you call what word? I'm sorry.
Polls are going to be closing in, and it looks like we had a misstep.
You called everything a long time ago.
States like
Here,
California,
let's see where this guy is.
Oregon,
I'm not going to watch.
and Washington at the top of the hour. We do, of course, unless something completely surprising happens, we do expect that those 3 states will fall in the blue category. Now, what's going to be interesting, though, about these states is in the House. We haven't really been checking in on the balance of power in the House so far. The magic number is 218, Andy Mack. Right now, the Republicans have secured 152 of those seats, Democrats 98. Why am I talking about this on the West Coast? That's because there are tons of toss-up races all along this coast. So many of them in California. There's one specifically in southwestern Washington. That's going to be a particularly close one. Bend, Oregon has a close toss-up race. California's Central Valley parts of Southern California, there's 5 House
That ain't
seats
right, Nancy.
in
That
California
thing you just
alone,
sent me?
currently owned by the GOP,
Yeah,
but they're considered to be
way off.
complete toss-up races. That's why it's been, as the
Oh
weeks
wait,
have
you
developed,
got
it's been much
you
tougher
got
for
Trump
pundits
with
to forecast who
242,
may control the House.
but you
There's
also
so many
got
tight races.
Pennsylvania
And
leading
another thing you
blue.
mentioned about the Sandy Mac is that not only are these going to be super tight, but if they're as tight as they have been
So in Pennsylvania,
in
you're
years
leading
past,
blue.
it could be so close that it could take days, if not over a week, to get some of these things done. That's the House.
A lot to get to with that. And let's talk about the Senate seat in California, as we're expecting that one potentially close with Adam Schiff, the Democrat there going up against Republican Steve Garvey. What do we make of this, and what is kind of the outlook on this in the Senate, and how does it the balance of power factor in all of this in California?
So ultimately, as far as the question of balance of power goes, we don't expect California to make any seismic shifts with the balance of power. We don't consider this race to be a toss-up like we do in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, states of that nature. California is an interesting one, as you can see. That might be a familiar name to some people. Steve Garvey, he was a first baseman. He played for the Dodgers. He played for the Padres in mostly the 70s and the 80s. He is running as a Republican against Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff led the charge on the impeachment process during Trump's first impeachment. As soon as polls close, we may get an early call in this race. Of course, any statewide race in California would be expected to fall blue, but no results from the Associated Press as of right now, and it looks like the clock just hit 8 p.m.
Well,
on the
Nancy
West
sent
Coast.
me a
So
message
polls closing. We should
with a
start to
map
see some color
where
in
it
the
shows
map
Trump
in
at
some of these states
242
here.
electoral, and it's showing on the map
The
that
colors will start
Pennsylvania is
lighting
blue,
up any
light blue.
minute now, as you mentioned, just the 8 o'clock hour there, as we're continuing to follow it on the West Coast as we're moving east to west.
And I'll mention, it just happened right now, just as we were speaking. So Washington, and there we go. So we're seeing some of these Senate races. Washington, as soon as the polls close, and this is just how reliably blue these states are. I'm going to just guess 0, yes, there's zeros on these. There's probably zeros on California as well. That's because the AP has such confidence in these states. As soon as results start coming in, they're going to be so overwhelmingly blue that they feel comfortable calling these races as soon as the results start coming through. So, Adam Schiff, going to be the senator in California for 6 years.
Oh my God,
It
Adam
appears
Schiff
there
is a
as
senator.
Washington as
Jesus.
well. We're going to see
Let's see that damn.
yeah, so
just
no numbers there as well,
all
but
the
still,
disarray
Maria
completely.
Cantwell going to be starting off her 6-year Senate tenure in the state of Washington, Andy.
Very, very interesting West Coast. We're following it very closely. Also, we're going to check back in with you over the course of the evening, as we've had over the last several hours. We really appreciate your time. Let's get out to more different conversations here, as we're hearing now west to east, as I do want to put up just this.
All the
one of
networks,
most
son,
recent calls
Jake,
there
all
in
of
Idaho
them.
being
They're all
called
still at
for,
210 for
the
Trump.
President, Donald
Once you
Trump
got
as well. So I
242,
do want to put up just
Jake,
this, those 4 electoral votes going for Donald Trump in Idaho at 4 electoral votes.
And I can't say, well,
balance
let's
of power as
add
we
4
talk
more
about
to
all
it
those,
because they're still 40
electoral
minutes
votes
behind.
being cast up. So we're hearing different ones about Nebraska. You know about the split one there with that, but also in Maine, we're talking about. All right, and we're also getting more about Washington as well. So let's continue to follow the latest here, as you can see just the excitement within this watch party there in West Palm Beach in Florida at this watch party, as they maybe see some of these results come in themselves, see the excitement of their as instead on the other side in the watch party at Howard University, it is Kamala Harris eventually getting the decision, 12 electoral votes in her favor going for the Vice President Kamala Harris on the West Coast. As you did hear from Austin Westfall, those going blue very quickly. The blue for Washington, we just see it go blue for Oregon. Let's bring in Austin one more time here as we're getting this about this. What do we make of this decision? And give me a breakdown of this here, Austin.
Yeah, just like the Senate, just like we were just talking about, as soon as the polls closed, the AP feels confident enough to call these western states in favor of Harris. California has the most electoral votes in the country. We're talking about 54 votes coming from California alone. Washington is going to have 12 electoral votes. Oregon not being called yet. It's likely blue. Let's go in and let's see what we're working with here. It looks like Harris is up by just over 21%. That's with 44% of the votes counted. It looks like the AP not feeling quite as confident as they are in Washington and California about Oregon, but nonetheless, Harris with a dominant lead in Oregon as well. So what does that say for the electoral count at large? Now that California's huge swath of votes has been added, that jumps Harris up to 179. Trump at 214. That means Trump is 56 votes away.
But he's not at
the presidency.
214, and I don't know why I'm watching this.
Looks like
Somebody in
she
the
is
background
roughly
telling me
91
different.
votes away from the presidency. While we're at it, Andy, let's look at the battlegrounds again. Let's just do a swing through all the states that very well could make or break this race. Wisconsin. Now we're at 60% of the votes tabulated.
Talk about delay.
Trump appearing to have just over a 2% lead in Wisconsin.
Well, where's Trump
Neighboring
at right now in
Michigan.
electoral
Michigan
vote?
was leaning blue not too long ago. Now it looks like it's leaning red, and Trump is up by over 4%. That's with 28% of the votes counted. So that is and we just saw it update a little bit. It looks like Trump might have gained a little bit of ground slightly there. 28, just over 1/4 of the votes counted in Michigan. Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes at stake. This one was a tight one for quite some time. And now it looks like as more and more votes are tabulated, we're nearing 3/4 of the votes being tabulated. 70% of the votes in Pennsylvania have been tallied. And right now, former President Trump has just over a 3% lead over the vice president. That's a major state right there. And that's a lead that Trump has with only 30% of the vote left that Harris can make up. North Carolina, the Tar Heel state. Again, the AP has not called any of these battleground states yet, but 87% of the vote has been tabulated in North Carolina.
Well, they should have called
Trump
it
has
87%.
just under a 3% lead over the vice president.
And
Let's bring you out to
Wisconsin,
Georgia, where we're
way
seeing
ahead.
90% of the vote
but
tallied.
Lake
And
told me for
Trump,
sure
he's got a
Wisconsin's
3-point
gonna go to
lead
Harris.
above the vice president. Let's head out west. Nevada, not reporting anything in, as far as the Associated Press is telling us so far. That's the one battleground we haven't heard from yet. But Arizona, still at exactly the point it was the last time we checked on it. Exactly 50% of the vote tallied right now. Trump with a 0.2 of a point lead over Harris, Andy.
All right, that is very, very interesting. A good breakdown here as we
Wow.
enter a new hour just to get everyone up to speed on those 7 key battleground states. All right, Austin, we're going to be checking back in with you in just a little bit, but I do want to give you that roundup of some of what we're looking at in some of those states along the West Coast, including in Arizona, including in California, Washington, and Oregon. I do want to just put these up, a full roundup of what we saw on the West Coast. This one in California being called for Kamala Harris in terms of this, and that 54 big electoral votes for her, the largest state in terms of that. Also in Washington as well, 12 electoral votes going to Kamala Harris, and then also in Oregon.
Yeah,
as
every
well,
network,
Kamala
Bert,
Harris.
you've
I
got
also
him at
want to
214.
talk now about California as we're learning that information about the Senate
Time,
AP race with
Fox
Dianne
Business,
Feinstein's
MSNBC,
seat being open,
ABC,
the late Dianne Feinstein,
NPR.
as this one going
What are
for
they doing
Adam
up here?
Schiff over Steve Garvey, the former Dodger, the former Padre. Adam Schiff moving Chambers from the House to the Senate as he takes over that seat. So big news in terms of the
DW
Senate
News
as
still
the
has him at
Democrats,
210.
they keep that seat blue. We'll talk more about the balance of power and everything to do with it. But let's continue on. Let's slide away for a quick 2-minute break. We'll get you more live pictures,
Did
different
Harris
speeches.
just
We're
come
expecting
out?
to hear
Did
from
she just
Adam
walk
Schiff,
out on
likely
stage?
Steve Garvey, within the hour, just based on the fact that this was called so
Or is
quickly
this
after
something,
polls closed
even though it's
there
live?
in that state. We'll have much more here on Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back.
54% chance he wins Arizona. Well, here's the Associated Press, and I'm not going to look at that. That's what I'm looking at. France. Even France has got a live channel out there watching it. What I'm more interested in watching is State of Bad, Rachel Maddow, and a bunch of other ones. You know, like, wow. Bernie Noah. I'm trying to think of what the guy's name is. I know he's the dad. He's probably on where you are. Can't think of his name. He's a big channel too. He had like 224,000 watching the debate. What the hell was his name?
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox on election night, just past 11 o'clock on the East Coast as we continue to follow the latest in terms of the balance of power and the race for the White House. And I do want to talk now about the Senate race in Ohio. No call as of yet, but Bernie Moreno leading in a big way
Moreno,
over the three-term incumbent Democrat Sherrod Brown, some 300,000 votes, just under 300,000 votes, a lead for Bernie Moreno. And we do see him speaking to the crowd.
89%. Come on, Bernie.
Let's take you out to this right here on Live Now from Fox.
Republican leadership. With President Trump and J.D. Vance in the White House, we are going to advance an agenda that is an American agenda. An agenda that says we are pro-immigration, but not pro-invasion. We're going to make certain that the people who come to this country are invited here like I was, like my family was, on our terms. We're going to make this country an energy-dominant nation so that my kids do not grow up in a country where we ever rely on a foreign nation for energy ever again. And we have that energy right here in Ohio. That means coal, that means natural gas, it means oil, and it means nuclear. And in terms of EV mandates, they need to be gone first thing in January.
Yeah.
And we're going to make certain that we tell California, you don't get to dictate to the whole country what our emission standards are. We're going to dictate that
65 and 75.
Allow consumers to pick the kind of car they want. Look, the other piece
What's that, Pennsylvania?
is what President Trump has brought to this country, which is peace and stability around the world. America will be a leader in the world, will always be a leader in the world. American leadership has made the planet safer, more prosperous, and more secure than at any point in human history. But it means that we ensure peace through strength. The weakness of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is rejected, and I know that from whether it's in Jerusalem or Kiev or anywhere else on earth or Taiwan, they're cheering this election because they know American strength will ensure peace around the world. And if you're a police officer in this country, just know you have a senator in me
Yeah, that I
in a
don't have.
Republican
Shut up.
Party
Go to
that
bed.
will always have your back. And we got rid of Chuck Schumer tonight, but pretty soon we're going to get rid of another couple people
What?
that need to be gone.
What?
First of
What
all,
did he
Randy
just say? They
Weingarten
got rid
should
of Chuck
start packing
Schumer.
her
Well,
bags.
he didn't get beat. There's no way in hell.
Because what we need in this country is school choice for all Americans.
Wait a minute. Is Chuck Schumer gone? Did he? No, there's no
And
way.
then as I look at my children, I've blessed with 4 kids. And by the way, can we give my wife an amazing round of applause, please? Thank you, Bridget. Bridget. Look, we need to make certain that we honor teachers, that we honor teachers. They're doing great work in every.
You're just listening in there as they were talking with Bernie Moreno, talking in very excited terms, optimistic terms, although the AP has yet to call that race in his favor. It is looking to be a margin that continues to grow for Moreno over Sherrod Brown, the three-term incumbent Democrat there in that state of
Who the hell was
Ohio.
running
This
against
one
Schumer?
will flip from blue to red likely as soon as that's called, but that is what we're following right now as they moved off the shot. But we do have another shot here on Live Now from Fox
No,
on
Chuck
the election
Schumer
night
quietly
in Arizona,
emerges as the
another
winner of
key
his party.
battleground state of what we're following here in Arizona. I want to put up this post from Ruben Gallego, the Democrat from Arizona, saying, shout out to poll workers across Arizona who show up early, stay late, and keep our democracy running smoothly. Your dedication to every single vote is a testament to our state's strength. Let's take you out to this, the speech from him to supporters in Arizona. Let's listen into this live.
That my uncle helped me if he could not be here today. He gave it to me because when I went to college, I couldn't afford to buy a new suit. So he gave me one of his. When I got to college, I saw other kids were happy because they were just happy to be there, happy to be at Harvard.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, Bert. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Get rid of him.
Scrubbing the toilets of the kids I had to see the next day. But I did it all proudly, because I believed that if I worked hard,
Oh my God.
the rules, even a poor kid would succeed in America. That's
If he licks
America.
it, again.
Because of that, I decided I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to serve my country, the country that gave my family a chance to live the American dream.
I knew her.
The greatest
I knew
country
that
in the world.
woman.
So I enlisted in the infantry of the United States Marine Corps.
30 years
I
ago.
know there's some out there.
First of all, when I lived
I had the
in.
honor of fighting alongside my brothers in Iraq in Lima Company 325, assigned to Al-Anbar, Iraq.
She was on the
They
news.
called us Lucky Lima at first, but unfortunately, eventually our luck ran out. Our company saw some of the hardest days of the war. And those were tough days. But the fight for my brothers was always worth it. And so is this fight for Arizona.
What are you doing up, Bert?
Go everywhere and talk to
Realize
everyone.
how late
And
it
that's
was. You
exactly
still awake.
what we did. We didn't take one vote for granted. For many candidates, Latinos and Native American voters are the afterthought. But they were part of our outreach from day one, and we worked to earn every vote. And we didn't write off our Republican brothers and sisters either. For 22
Hey, Bert,
months,
I'm only
I traveled
900
around
and
this
some
state.
hours away from
The thing I
4,000.
learned is that we have so much in common. Because whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, we all want the same thing: a better life for our kids.
Only a
and to give our
million votes
kids
left?
A better future.
What is
It's
that,
just
like
that simple. And that's exactly why I'm here.
92%?
I believe in the American dream. And I
No.
want everyone else to have the same opportunity to make it that I had. I'm here tonight because I believe women
Yeah, they should be
also
calling
make
that
their own
too.
decisions about their own bodies. I'm here because costs are still too high. And I
Boom.
understand how
Where'd I
hard it
go?
is to work just
Boom.
to
Where'd I
bring
go?
home
What?
enough
Boom.
to pay
What's
the
the boom?
bills, to pay the rent, and maybe, just maybe, save up
What'd you
a
blow
little.
up? What
I
happened?
understand
What
the dignity
exploded?
of work, of trying to put 40, 60,
You said that
80
19
hours
seconds after
together
you
to
said
try
LOL.
and make a
What?
life
Boom.
for your kids. But there are too many people in Washington, D.C. who
83%
don't
with him.
understand
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of
What?
hard work and who don't actually respect that work. They don't understand what it means to
90% that
actually
would
struggle
make
every day
make you smaller.
and still believe the next day is going to be better.
What the hell's my background?
Look, it looks like this race won't be called tonight. But one result is already coming through and clear. We fought for Arizona. And because of that, we are going to win.
There's something wrong.
Even though our race isn't quite over yet, I still want to thank all Arizonans who supported me, Democrats.
God help the rest of the
Republicans.
world if Trump
And
gets
to
in.
those who
There'll be
didn't,
peace in the world now.
to those who didn't, I want you to know that regardless of who you voted for today, I will
There's a
stand
hell of a lot
up
more peace
and
than
fight
there is
for
now.
you. As hard as I fought to get out of poverty, as hard as I fight now for my family, as hard as I fought in the Marine Corps, I will be fighting for you in Washington, D.C. To my family, my mom, my sisters, my aunts, my cousins, and they're all here. We're a big Latino family. I will always have your back, because you always had my back. And to Sydney, Michael, Isla, who always gave me a reason to fight, I will keep fighting. To my Lima Company Marines, the men I patrol with in Iraq,
Why don't you just have
the men
AI
I went to
run?
the hardest days of war with, and came back to a country that had forgotten us. John, Andy, and Justin, we're here
This,
tonight. I love
Bert,
you,
this
brothers.
is
Number 5, and I always have your back.
this is Bertie sitting there, being 40 minutes,
Team,
45 minutes
to all the
behind him.
volunteers and our supporters, to the unions and the community groups who stood in front lines us the whole time, thank you. So for the veterans out there suffering from PTSD, for the single moms working 2 jobs and raising 3 kids, for the dads who have to miss that bedtime with their kids to work that overnight shift, and for the kid sleeping on the floor tonight in Arizona, dreaming of a better future, this is for you. Gracias, Arizona.
You were just listening in there to Ruben Gallego talking to a crowd of supporters, noting that it would likely not be called tonight just based on the protocols in place in that state.
RSBN
A
has
very
Trump at
confident, optimistic
230.
person there speaking at that rally there in Arizona. I do want to put up just the number of votes, the sizable margin he leads
God,
over
you're
Kerry
so
Lake at this
far
point.
behind.
Some 7-point lead right now. So no call as of tonight. He admitted that such, but a sizable lead for him this evening. But we do want to get you out to some calls in terms of the race for the White House in some very key battleground states. This one in North Carolina going in favor of Trump as Trump takes the key battleground state of North Carolina, 50% to 48%, just over 100,000 votes as Trump, the AP calling this almost 90% of the votes tallied at this point. Another battleground state not called at this point, but in favor of the former president in a significant way, 51% to 48.3% as well. And we want to put up this, a post from our Fox 5 team, Eric Perry saying, breaking, Donald Trump has an insurmountable lead with a number of votes outstanding. That a quote from the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, during a late night briefing. So some big news. And let's continue on. Let's bring in my colleague right now, Austin Westfall, to discuss what this means moving forward, because this is a big development in terms of the race for this White House. Austin, North Carolina going for the former President Donald Trump, and Raffensperger saying an insurmountable lead for Trump in Georgia.
Hey, Joe, you watching me up
How
there?
pivotal is this moment for Trump?
Raffensperger saying that is very important. The AP has not
No, I
officially
know.
called the race
Must be
yet,
Sophia
so we
watching
can't
me up
officially
there.
call it
I can
ourselves
hear
here.
myself
A
somewhere up
live
there.
look at the Trump watch party where we've been watching. There's been a lot of smiling faces. We have been keeping an eye on both of these watch parties.
They turned the
Here's how the
volume
map is
down
looking
now.
now that we're getting some of these pertinent race calls in. This is the first battleground
Well, they
state
didn't.
that's officially been called. That puts Donald Trump up to 230. He's 40 away from the presidency.
Oh man,
Harris
he's
still
not at
at
230.
179.
Don't
Let's
tell
take a
me he's
look.
already at 270 or I'll be in
Solidly
big
red
trouble.
at this point. We've been saying all night, Trump's easiest path to victory is North Carolina, which he has now. Georgia, which with 90% of the votes in, he has almost a 3-point lead.
Well, then call
So,
it. If you
North
can
Carolina,
call, if you can
Georgia,
call North Carolina with
Pennsylvania.
only 89%
So if he
of the
gets
vote, then you should be able
these
to call
three
Georgia.
states and every other state falls the way we expect it to, that means that former President Trump will become president again. The only time that's ever happened before was Grover Cleveland.
Georgia's
the
showing
22nd, 24th
90% for
president of the
me,
United
and
States.
you
So,
already got it.
North Carolina getting called I'm watching Pennsylvania
Wait,
closely
you
now.
said
I'm watching
they
Georgia
called
closely
it?
now. Again, 9/10 of all the votes have been counted in Georgia. He's got almost 3 points up. Pennsylvania, just over 3/4 of the vote now tallied. Trump has, and right now we're looking at just about a 3-point lead out of PA as well. So Trump has leads in 2 absolutely crucial states.
This is not
And I'm not
fair.
even mentioning the fact that he has
Wonder
leads
if
right now
if I
in
could find a
Wisconsin.
plane to get the bird's house real quick, I could
66% of the votes in. Right now,
everybody
Trump
else does.
has about a 3-point advantage there. Michigan, fewer of those votes counted. About a third of them are in so far. But Donald Trump right now with a sizable lead over Kamala Harris. That one looking like it's just over a 6-point advantage. We go over to Arizona.
Wait a minute,
It's very
6-point
possible we
advantage
don't hear
in
any more
Michigan?
results in from them for the rest of the
Oh,
night. They've been stuck at 50%. Nonetheless, that's at a dead tie right now. It's very possible, Andy. The way this is playing out, though, we might not need to worry about Arizona.
Correct.
We're going to keep an eye, specifically right now, on Georgia and PA, now that North Carolina's been called.
Yeah, it's a very good breakdown of all of to come. And, of course, North Carolina, Georgia, insurmountable leads in Pennsylvania,
Who's that
Wisconsin,
big guy up at the
Michigan
Harris
might
Watch
be too
Party?
close to call at this point, just based on the margin there. All right, Austin, we're going to check back in with you in just a little bit, but let's give you some live now looks inside of some of these watch parties there in West Palm
If he
Beach,
wins
Florida.
PA, which
You
he
can
will,
see
he
the
would have to
excitement
lose every
growing,
other
building
state. He
in
could
that
lose every
room.
other state, and it wouldn't matter.
They are monitoring this in real time as we are as well. Also there in Washington, D.C. at the Kamala HQ, the headquarters on the campus of Howard University, her alma mater. We're monitoring it all very, very closely. But also the race for the White House, other props coming up. We're going to have more on some of the down ballot races, some of those measures, amendments
Certainly
in
going to win
place, and
Georgia.
what
Oh,
they
wait,
mean
Georgia
across
was
this
called
country.
100 into
We'll
the
have
world,
that and much
wasn't
more here on Live Now from Fox after that.
Don't say nothing. Don't you say a word. Although I know what the word is. I knew it anyhow. Go ahead, say it. Where's he at? 278? Because then I'm going to get off of here and run upstairs so I can watch it on a meeting. Well, this is I'm 7 weeks behind. I like that. Hold please, can you? Well, Kamala Harris, guess what? You're not going to be president. Isn't that your motivation? Come on, big news, man. Hey, what? Main 2 district went to Trump. Okay, what happened with this? I'm watching this stuff live, and you're telling me what's happening 30 minutes before it happened. I think you're an alien. What happened with New Hampshire? Did you win 2 districts of New Hampshire? Who will not be pleased? Yeah, remember Trump stopping Nord Stream oil pipeline. 248 confirmed. So if he wins
All right, we'll come back in here
Pennsylvania,
to our
which
election
is
night coverage on Live Now from
He
Fox.
won.
I'm the host,
It's
Andy
over.
Mack. Thank you so
Done.
much for joining us. I
He's
do want to
done
give you
with
a couple
Michigan.
Live Now looks there in Washington, D.C. at the Kamala Harris watch party taking place on the campus of Howard University, and also in West Palm Beach, Florida. You can
Kamala,
see
I
just the
believe.
excitement
Kamala,
in
you
the
believe
eyes
what?
of some of these viewers. Just approaching midnight on the East Coast. All right, we're also monitoring the latest inside some of these different polling locations, some of these tabulation centers, including in Gwinnett County in Georgia, as we're hearing from Brad Raffensperger talking about potentially an insurmountable lead for the former President Donald Trump. but they will continue on late into the night there. All right, let's talk more about the race for the White House, but other amendments, proposals on the table in different states. Let's bring in right now my colleague, Christina Evans. Christina, thank you so much for joining us. Break it all down for me. What are we seeing in some of these votes and some of these props around the country?
Absolutely, Andy Mack. So again, right now in the Live Now Social Center, I want to show you what things are looking like from my vantage point. We're keeping up with some of those storylines that you may not see on the regular news. This is some stuff that we're seeing on social media. And when it comes to social media, you have to talk about some of those conversations that pertain to abortion. Let's go ahead and take a look here on the screen. You can see this race call for the Associated Press. Voters in Maryland did accept a ballot measure to enshrine protection for abortion in the state's constitution. Now, this is a big deal because Marylanders did vote to protect reproductive rights. Abortion is already legal there in the state, but by approving the amendment, voters have made it extremely difficult for lawmakers in the future to pass a law that could limit reproductive care without violating the state constitution. Now, we all know that with some of these younger voters, again, with Gen Z and other places, abortion has been a huge measure that they have been following. I want to show you another one that we have here is a post on X from Fox 5 New York. New York voters also passed Proposition 1 in their state. This meant that the amendment is designed to protect abortion rights and other civil liberties that will now be enshrined as well in the state's constitution. This is all according to the Associated Press. Some of this news coming out. The final state that I want to hit on right now when it pertains to abortion, voters in Colorado have also approved a constitutional amendment to enshrine abortion protection there in their state as well. So it's important here for Colorado. This measure did win the necessary 55% of the vote to pass, and it is already a regional hub as well for abortion access in that part of the country, because many folks who do end up traveling there if abortion is banned in their state. So again, on social media, we've been seeing reactions to this storyline as folks are finding out if their state will enshrine abortion protection in the Constitution. Happening now, we know, in 3 states, New York, Maryland, and Colorado. But we are continuing to track stories just like this on our social media pages. Make sure you follow us on Live Now Fox. It's on all platforms, including TikTok, where we have been continuing to keep you updated with some of the other storylines that we're following and seeing there online.
All right, thank you so much, Christina. So important for so many people. We're glad you shined a light on some of these propositions as well. We appreciate your time. Doing a great job back there at the Social Media Center.
Be a prop for the
Absolutely. Thanks, Andy.
All right, thanks so much. All right, let's continue on and let's give a wrap up of some of what we're seeing in terms of some of those propositions. The Amendment 79 in Colorado in favor, yes, the right to abortion. So we're following it very, very closely. A significant portion, over 1.3 million voting in favor of that. Also in New York, in Proposal 1, talking about equal protection, 3 million people cast the ballot, some 63 to 37 in favor of that. And also the right to abortion in Maryland. Coming back to that question one more time. Question 1 for it is almost 2 million people.
It really is.
Ballot,
most of the
a significant margin in terms of this there in Maryland. All right, so we're following the latest here on Live Now from
and
Fox
it's all been
all
debunked, all
of this,
been
the race
proven.
for the White House
All
and
the
much,
shit that
much
they
more. I do
pull
want
up.
to talk about another West Coast state that was recently called for Vice President Kamala Harris. Right here, you can see Oregon going in favor of her. So a blue West Coast, not unusual, not surprising as well, but Harris being called there for Oregon. All right, let's continue on because we're talking about different tabulation centers, different votes being tallied across the country. We're having Live Now looks inside of different locations. This one, I believe, in Harris County, Texas. Let's bring in right now to the conversation for more on it. We want to bring in Chris Mann, the director at the Center for Election Innovation and Research. Chris, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox on this election night. It feels like we're having a pretty smooth election night. What is your focus? What are you seeing around the country in terms of the tabulation, in terms of these votes being counted?
Why is that cold?
I think we've had a remarkably smooth election day and all the period up to it, with early voting going remarkably well. We haven't really seen any problems.
You should have gone
very
live,
carefully
Bert.
around the
And
country
you could have played one of
for
these channels.
potential issues.
And you
The
could
only
have
things we've
predicted
seen
it.
are the kinds of things that we
You could have
expect.
predicted
We had a
all this
poll
stuff
one
without
place open late
know
in
how
Maricopa
you
County,
do it.
Arizona, because the person who was supposed to unlock the door forgot the key in
People
the
would be
morning.
saying, "Geez,
We had a few places around the
how
country
would
where
you
they
know
had
on all
technology
this?"
glitches in the morning, and that led to lines, but all of those were quickly resolved. Of course, we have had some extraordinarily unusual events. The bomb threats that the FBI has identified as coming from
gonna get up
foreign actors, very likely from Russia, that disrupted voting in
sit down
Georgia
and
and
watch
led to
all
polling place delays. There were
happy
similar
and
threats
sad
made
ups and
via social
downs.
media in other states that were quickly
Why would they leave
dismissed
your
and
channel?
didn't interrupt
Oh
voting.
yeah, okay.
And as we get into the
That's
counting,
fine.
things have
Do
gone
that.
remarkably smoothly. Probably the most high-profile event happened in Milwaukee, where they had to start over with counting. It was clearly a mistake, but in
Yes, it
my
does.
opinion, they handled it exactly right. They discovered the mistake.
All right, I'm
and
gonna
they
jump
were
up.
transparent about it.
I'm
They
gonna
talked to
run
the
up.
Republicans, they
What's
talked to the
going on?
Democrats, and they decided to start
Get out
over
of
so that everybody knew the
Yeah, I'm
process
getting chilled to the
worked
bone
from
now.
beginning to end.
Let's talk about Pennsylvania. So right now, as we look at the
If the
electoral
rain
map,
stops in the
we're
afternoon, I'll be
focusing
going live in
on
the
two states
afternoon
that haven't
after
been
I
called
walk.
on the
depending
East
on the
Coast right
weather.
now. We're looking at specifically Georgia, which
We'll see.
has, I should say,
So I
Chris,
shall see you later.
91% of the votes
And whatever
tabulated
else
right
is
now.
out there.
Trump with just
Have a
under
good
a
night.
3%
I don't
lead
know how
in
to
that
access
state.
me.
Still 9% of the votes to be tallied.
there.
But really what I'm curious to ask
We
you about